はい。よろしくお願いします。It's a Sunday stream from Daishu-in West, Koju. It's 1:30 on a rainy Sunday here at the temple. Lots of rain in the forecast for us. Pretty nice. Definitely into our winter um, pattern here. Just a couple of days nice, and then 4 or 5 days of rain. It's it's okay, but you do start to miss the sun. Um, it's the holiday season. Uh, the season of giving, as they call it. So I thought I would talk about that for a moment. Um, I suppose it's good to have a season of giving. However, it's important, I think, to put that into perspective. Exactly. That giving that we talk about, it isn't just something that happens around Christmas, of course. It's actually happening all the time. It is a fundamental activity of life itself. There isn't any, life is not possible without that giving. To put it in Buddhist terms, it's Dana Paramita. It's the perfection of generosity. And in that way, looked at in that light, that's often Dana is also translated as giving or generosity or what have you. Um, but it isn't necessarily seen as something that is always occurring naturally, as sort of a foundational thing. For example, shall we say, um, it's raining. The rain doesn't choose. The rain doesn't say, okay, I'm going to rain here, but not there. It might, you know, do that, but it doesn't do that, volitionally. It's a natural occurrence. It rains according to circumstance. It is not stingy. It's the sun, the rain, the wind, the grasses that come up. They do not come up, uh, you know, volitionally being like, well, it doesn't quite suit me to rain over here, so I'm not going to. It's a natural occurrence. If that happens, it's not a volitional one where it's like, well. So in that way, life doesn't happen without generosity. And for us too, to whatever degree we're aware of it or not, we manifest that dana paramita, that perfection, that generosity, naturally. And then we get confused again, and we might not. We might decide, well, I don't quite feel like it. I can't do that today. I've already done my part, or whatever we think, and not um, demonstrate that, which is in fact an obstruction in the generosity that is always occurring everywhere. And even when we um, conceive of good works and try to do good works, which is good, we should conceive of good things and try and do good things. That's admirable and commendable. But inevitably, we kind of tie them back to myself. There's an actor there. There's somebody who gives. And while it's still a good thing to do, um, when there is that tying back to a volitional actor, it's already tainted. The action is confused. and cannot help but be a little twisted and go astray in some way, simply by virtue of being connected or obstructed, shall we say, by myself. Because we confuse the naturalness of the action with a doer. So in that way, I often say that Zen is responding appropriately to circumstance, and then we're not naturally responding appropriately to circumstance. It's a construct, a conceived action, like I'm doing the thing, and then it can't be right action. It can't be right thought. If there's a thinker, it's already off. If there's a doer, it's already off. It might be a good thing to do still. We might still go through with it because it's the best we can do at the moment. We don't want to not, do a good thing. Let, perfect be the enemy of good, or whatever the phrase is. And then there's not act at all. That's not good either. But we should be clear about exactly where it is that we're coming from. So that that season of giving that's the season. The real season of giving is when we respond appropriately to circumstance without the conception of a doer. That's the season of giving. It isn't something that happens, at a particular time of the year or something. I remember, and I tell people this frequently, but 20 years ago or so, when I first came to Daishu-in West, Daishu-osho, it was about this time of year, so it was November, actually, and he had scheduled sesshin over Thanksgiving, and told everybody, okay, we're going to have sesshin, it's going to be these dates, and I was like, oh, okay. And then afterwards, there was sort of, there was some conversation or something with him, and he was like, people were complaining. He's like, I can't come, because, but Daijo, it's Thanksgiving. He said, every day is Thanksgiving. And that, that stuck with me. It's absolutely something to be reflected on and taken to heart. Because it's absolutely true, and it's the same thing as what I'm talking about here. Thanksgiving is natural. Doing without thought of I is natural. And we can call it giving, if that's also kind of an arbitrary distinction, if an act is giving or receiving. In fact, even before there's any sort of volitional idea of an action, certainly before there's an action, but even before there's any volition towards action, there should be, it's actually, before there's giving, before there's real giving or response to a circumstance according to what is required, there has to be a receiving. The beginning of giving is actually receiving, because we have to be able to see that circumstance, to see that situation without confusion. We have to be able to take it as it is, wholeheartedly, and accept it, and without filter or without tying it back, well, how do I feel about this, without having arbitrary ideas about it. Just take that as it is, fully, wholeheartedly, accept it. So that's actually the beginning of true giving. And the only reason actually, that becomes confused is because of this connection to myself. This idea that, oh, well, this doesn't suit me right now. Or how do I feel about this? What do I want to do? Maybe I've done my part for today. Well, this is enough. I'm working really, really hard, so I deserve this, or whatever it is. And then immediately there's an obstruction. So that true season of giving, that true thanksgiving and zest for life starts with acceptance of what is unconditional. With not putting requirements on reality. And in reality, that giving is already freely manifest. It's already freely moving and active. It's just a willful imposition. It's not that we. Again, it's the same thing. We just have to stop making mistakes. We just have to stop obstructing it. It's already naturally moving. It's already given. We didn't, a few weeks ago, I said, we didn't do anything to get this. We didn't do anything to open up our eyes and say, this I am. I see the world. It was freely given. We didn't have to make a deal to get it. It was just given to us in a way of, it's already a manifestation of that generosity. We try and make a deal, and we impose our ideas of how things should be on what is originally a free lunch, and what was freely given. We say, well, I don't know, maybe I want it to be a little bit different or a little bit better or more like this or that, which, from any perspective is pretty weird, honestly, right? So, anyway, the season of giving, reflect on it and think about it. Be happy, this holiday season. Be thankful for what you have, and don't put your requirements on things. You're just going to